Now let's talk to, he's from Fair Cop, the organisation that tries to encourage the police to get back to a world of common sense. That's a world they departed from a long, long time ago, as we all know. Ex-copper, Fair Cop, Harry Miller. Hello, Harry.
Yeah, hi, nice to see you again, Kevin.
Thanks for coming on board. Your story sounds incredible. Now, I've read your article and it tells the bizarre saga of how you came to be stalked by a transvestite, a cross-dresser, because that cross-dresser transvestite guy did not like your views on, biological sex and trans issues. And as I understand it, this transvestite turned out to be a serving police officer from Leicestershire.
That's right, yeah.
And you wrote an article sort of chronicling this extraordinary saga, and you have been talked to by the police because you misgendered the transvestite, is that right?
That's exactly right. Also, because I used the word transvestite, this was apparently a malicious communication.
Sorry, we're in breach of some kind of
we are, yeah.
Orwellian language instruction. We're not allowed to say transvestite anymore.
No, online safety bill, yeah. Online safety bill, which is what they were doing with me on the Online Safety Act. Because I'd misgendered this officer and said I was stalked by a man, not by a woman. PC Lindsay Watson, who was thrown out of Leicestershire Police for stalking me for 2 years, he put in a complaint and said that I caused him psychological distress by calling him a man.
So he's a bloke. He's a bloke in a dress.
Yeah, he is a bloke. Yeah, he's a bloke with a ponytail and a dress.
Okay.
He'd been stalking me for 2 years on police time. Actually, he was crazy. I said he was lunatic, and he is. He said that I was in league with Suella Braverman, the former Home Secretary, and that together she and I were running an international terrorist organisation that included the terrorist bombing in Denver 2 years ago. This is how unhinged this officer was. On another occasion, he bragged that he was a former police officer, and he said, and I quote, "I have won more gold on the ranges than you've got in your rotten teeth," and then said that people like me ought to be culled. But because I misgendered him, I am the baddie. I am the one who was threatened with arrest by the police unless I went in for a voluntary interview. Now, here's the thing about
when was that? Where did they visit you, the coppers? Did they?
No, they rang me 6 weeks ago, told me that I needed to come in for a voluntary interview, right. And I said, well, what will you do if I don't come in? And I said, will you arrest me? And they said, well, we would have to consider arresting you. I said, well, it's not voluntary at all, then, is it? This is a threat and coercion.
Right. So did you go to the police station then?
Yes, I went to the police this afternoon.
So this is today, right? So you went in. Yeah, and they accused you of misgendering your transvestite stalker. Yeah.
It's
confusing, doesn't it? Go on, though.
The other thing was that after this police officer had been thrown out of the police, I issued a statement, and I said, "Statement re the sacking of PC Watson from Leicestershire Police." The police, Lincolnshire Police, said that by issuing that statement, I was pretending to be Leicestershire Police. They said, "You said that this was a statement by Leicestershire Police." I said, "No, I didn't. Just read it." It said, "Statement re the dismissal of PC Lindsay Watson from Leicester Police." They'd misread the words. They thought that I was masquerading as a chief constable. So I think I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and then I said, "Is this all you've got? Is this all you've got?" Yeah. And they said, "Well, yeah." And they said, "Right, we're going to finish the interview now." And I said, "No, you're not." I said, "Leave that interview on." They said, "Why?" I said, "Why? Because I am now arresting you, Detective Sergeant."
You did this today? Which police station was it?
Today, Lincolnshire Police Station.
Right, I am arresting. So you turned on these officers who'd accused you of misgendering your cross-dressing former police officer Stalker. And you arrested. For what reason did you arrest them?
I used PACE Section 24A, which gives powers to any person to arrest any other person who is commissioning or has commissioned an indictable offence. An indictable offence in this case would be harassment. Harassment of me with the threat of violence. The threat of violence being, if I don't comply with their demands to go and be interviewed, they would arrest me. Right. I argued, I said an arrest is an act of violence, a confinement is an act of violence, therefore you are harassing me, therefore I am arresting you. You are arrested. I said, take me down to the custody cells so that I can hand you over to the custody sergeant. And he said, I'm not going to do that because you're not arresting me. I said, too late, pal, you're already arrested. Bring me a police officer so that I might present you to them and you serve due process.
And then what happened? What the hell happened?
Then 4 police officers turned up looking absolutely bemused. They immediately de-arrested the sergeant and told him to go and hide in the police station.
Right.
And then they tried to convince me that there was no basis for my arrest and I'd been acting unlawfully and they didn't need to question him. I said, well, it didn't seem to stop you questioning me and threatening me with arrest. And they said, a threat of arrest is not really a threat. And I said, if I turn to you and say, look, unless you comply with my request, I'm going to smack you in the face, would you say that that is coercive? And he said, oh, you can't say that. I said, why not? It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. When a police officer threatens the member of the public with arrest, unless they comply with the demand to go for a voluntary interview, that is a coercive threat. And I'm sorry, I've seen too much of it. We're not having it. I'm turning the tables and I've arrested that police sergeant and I expect you now to process him as I have been processed.
And did they do that?
No, they looked utterly confused and said, well, if you've got a complaint about the process, I suggest you're right. I said, no, this is not about process. This is about a criminal act by you, the police. We, the public, are sick and tired of you accusing us of crimes, putting us through the mill and then quietly dropping it. So I've turned the tables. I've come into your police station and I've done to you what you do to us. I've arrested that police sergeant and I now expect you to put him through the process that you put me through.
Let's talk about, just for a second, let's talk about Lindsay. Is Lindsay what you might call a cross-dresser, or does Lindsay classify himself as a trans woman?
Well, Lindsay crosses himself as a trans woman.
Okay.
But you know, I really don't care. He's a lunatic who spent time during his police hours using various sock accounts to chase and harass me. As I say, he threatened to have me shot. He said that I was leader of a terrorist cell. He said I committed perjury. He reported me to every anti-terrorist unit in the country. He reported me to every chief constable in the country. But because I misgendered him and said I was not stalked by a woman, I was stalked by a man, that is where the real crime occurred.
That's ridiculous.
Because I said my stalker was a man.
That's a bit like, you know, say somebody, a trans woman comes out and tries to shoot you with a gun, you know, hits you in the shoulder, nearly kills you, and you say, you know, oh my God, that bloke nearly killed me, and you get arrested for misgendering the guy who shot you.
That's exactly it, Kevin.
So what's the upshot of this extraordinary story, Harry? Where are things standing now?
Well, I'll be having a discussion with my council tomorrow, and we will be launching an action against Lincolnshire Police because they cannot be allowed to harass a member of the public, for one thing. But then the second we use PACE, Police and Criminal Evidence Act, on them, then simply just to dismiss it and laugh and walk away. That is two-tier policing. We're not having it. I'm not standing for it. I am going for them. And
was Lindsay, trans woman Lindsay, ever convicted or investigated for stalking you?
Yeah, he was investigated because he sent me, in the space of 2 years, 850 personal tweets, 850. The police said, nothing to see here. It's just
so you've got those tweets. You've got 850 tweets, you know, threatening.
Yeah, and the police have got them, and the CPS have got them.
So they're not pursuing anything against him. They're not pursuing a case.
No. Threatening to have me shot is apparently not. Doesn't meet the threshold for crime. But me saying that a guy threatened to have me shot does. That's the crazy cuckoo world that we're in, Kevin.
Lindsay, you say, was dismissed from the Leicestershire Police. So, I mean, you know, Harry, we're laughing about this because, you know, if you didn't laugh, you'd cry. But this is extremely sinister, isn't it?
It's completely sinister. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, how you can read that article that I wrote in The Critic and conclude that I am the perpetrator and Watson is the victim. It beggars belief. As I said to the police officer, only a special kind of idiot can come to that conclusion. And that idiot is you, Sergeant. I'm simply not having it. I will not allow the police to run roughshod over members of the public. Now, in my case, they got unlucky because, yet again, they picked on the wrong guy. And I have no fear whatsoever because I know I've not committed a criminal offence. I absolutely know it.
Well, you're the victim, I would suggest, certainly of a alleged potential criminal offence that sounds to me like it should have been properly investigated and probably should have led to some kind of, certainly, a trial. So you're the victim here, as one of the police's favourite words. But you know, I barely know what to say, Harry.
I'm the wrong sort of victim, Kevin. That's the problem. No, he threatened to sue. He threatened to sue your station. I was banned for a long time from ever mentioning PC Watson because he'd rung the station up and said that if I ever mentioned him again, that they would sue. And so one of your chiefs got hold of me and said, Harry, please don't mention PC Watson ever again because he's going to sue us. This is how nuts the man is. And I say he was a serving police. He wasn't even suspended. He was arrested, let go, and he was back on duty the following day.
But now he has been dismissed from Leicestershire.
Not only dismissed, he's been placed on the barred list and I believe had his pension taken off him as well. He was treated
for this kind of activity, for stalking or...
For stalking me, yes, for stalking me. And get this...
So sorry to keep interrupting, I've got to go in a second, but so he did get some kind of punishment, but not legal punishment, as it were.
No, he just got thrown out of the police. But what was quite incredible, Kevin, was I identified him as a police officer very, very early on. And guess what? The police told him to go undercover and use sock accounts so he couldn't be associated as a policeman and to continue stalking me.
I mean, where is he now? Is he still stalking you or has he left you alone now?
No, he's still stalking me. He stalks me. He stalks loads of people. He's stalking Helen Joyce. He's stalking Helen Joyce's husband. He's stalking Graham Linehan. I mean, it's his full-time job stalking people. He's absolutely crazy. He's one of these people who needs locking up and the key throwing away.
Well, I should say that Lindsay Watson is not here to defend himself, but what an extraordinary story. And if you're out there, Lindsay, by all means, give us a call and tell us what your version of events. Harry, keep us posted on this. Just extraordinary, just bizarre. Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers, Harry. Harry Miller there. I mean, I don't know what to say. You heard that story.